Hello. This is the first video that we're shooting. This is the beginnings of Half Creek Farm. I've been in paralysis by analysis of figuring how to shoot this, so I'm just shooting it. Mostly I'm doing this for friends and family, but there may be a couple other people who watch it just to see what I'm doing. Little history, we purchased this property about 2 years ago. Been struggling with it ever since. It was pretty much let go. I got lots of saplings and small trees back here, all of which have to be cleared up and removed. But that's what this channel on YouTube is going to talk about, is what I'm doing. Well, when we bought it about 2 years ago, we have a creek, and I'm going to head down there so you can see why we're named Half Creek Farm. To give you a little history on myself, I've worked in the entertainment industry for 20-something years, had some kids, and I guess my world changed, happily. I really think about their health and my health, which isn't very good. So that's why I'm doing this. And I'm getting at a loss for words here, what to say. So I want my kids to know what life is like, and not necessarily just that it's all 9 to 5. I want them to know that there's an adventure along the way, and it's just not always the continuous grind. I've been watching, what was it, Diego Footer, and he was interviewing the Fit Farmer. And, watching some of that video really kind of struck a chord with me that that's what I wanted for my kids. I wanted to be around with them. I mean, we leave our kids for 12 hours, almost 12 hours a day in someone else's care. And I don't like that. And so that's why I'm doing this. I'm trying to bring this together so my kids can see, it's okay to take chances, and that sometimes going out on a limb, whether you're forced on that limb or you jump on your own, you can, sometimes you make it, sometimes you fail. And as you fail, you learn, obviously, what not to do. And I do it for my family. I do it for myself. So there's a little bit of history as to why we're doing this. But this is our creek. And it starts all the way somewhere back up over in here. And there's a little foundation there where it runs out of, and it comes down this way. And it's a lovely creek. And so the road's right over here. Right before that house, there's a road. And when we bought the place, and we looked at this place several times before we purchased it, it was, yes, and there's a lot of weeds and tall stuff that I have to get through. But we purchased it, and after the signing, on my way home, my wife called me, and she goes, "Hey, you ought to check the creek. There's something down there. It sounded like there was water running in a hole." And I went, "Oh, all right." So, sorry about the weeds. I started to look at the creek and investigate it. And so, here is our lovely creek, right here. It's beautiful. So, and then as you follow it down, this is why we're called Half Creek Farm, because that's the end of it. This is the rest of it. That's as dry as a bone. So there's a little history on Half Creek Farm. To be honest with you, I do just about everything by hand out here. I have no tractor, 4-wheel or 2-wheel. I was looking at buying one this year. Yeah, plans have kind of changed. So I have a lot of stuff to deal with. So part of the things that I'll be talking about in the future are going to be sinkholes, because I got that one over there where the creek disappears. I have this one over here, which I'm not sure if it's a sinkhole or what, but there's a toilet in there, a bunch of wire, gas tank. I think it's an oven or a washing machine that's in there, roofing parts. It's interesting. This is my gardens. Now, not necessarily forced into putting my gardens here, but I do have a beginning farmers grant from the USDA, which we'll talk about later. And this is basically where I had planned the gardens to go. So not a lot of this is flat. So we'll talk about what I'm doing there and why I'm doing it. And I don't know if you can hear this, but that is rock. Lots of rocks. We live in Smith County, Tennessee, and so I have lots of rock. And this is the area right here where we are going to put our first hoop house, I guess, and then back beyond it is going to be garden. And then up on top of that hill, there's a decent sized flat spot, which I'm going to get some black plastic on and start killing weeds, and hopefully till that in a couple months after winter, and get that going as another garden spot. And then eventually all this will be terraced, and we'll go over that as I move forward and how I'm going to do it. This is the old garden from last year, which we were so busy we didn't tend to it much, but it actually seemed to grow fairly well. But this will be the other garden spot up in here where it's somewhat flat. And I'll do some sort of berm along over here, keep the dirt from leaving. So, and all this needs to be cleaned up and pulled out. This is what I get to deal with all by hand right now. A couple people have offered to come up and help me, so when they get around to it, I guess they'll get up here. This is our outhouse. It has been officially used once with the encouragement from my daughter, so it is functioning, even though it just goes nowhere. And that's Susie. She's happy to see anybody who will come and visit her and pay any attention to her. And that's Genghis. He is my Great Pyrenees. I bought him as a livestock protection dog. I really thought my fencing would be done. And say hi, buddy. Say hi. Hello. Yeah, good boy. Chickens, which I feed the predator population with. So I try not to, but I do not want to keep them penned up. I basically let them pasture range. And there's Wilbur and Meanie, my two pigs. I'll tell you that story on another time, and we'll go into that. But hopefully they're a breeding pair. And we're back at the barn. This is some of I love the barn, but it is the bane of my existence at this point in time. As you can see, the door is not in good shape. It is old. The house is 85 years old. So the barn is 65 years old, I believe. And it hasn't been well kept, as you can see. So this will be in future videos as to how I fix this. And we have this one post right here, which, if you can see that, it's not mounted to anything anymore. Just kind of hangs out. So there's definitely some work. Am I going to tear it down, build a new one, or try and revive this in some fashion? I don't know. Not on the priority list either. This is on the priority list, which I will talk about, which is clearing all this out. And again, I'll be doing it all by hand. Yay. But it's okay. I like this kind of stuff. At my age, though, it gets a little tougher. So, other things that we'll talk about is back up here on this hill, I want to put a new house. I want to put a bunch of new buildings on here, and all of them I want a timber frame. So, I guess we'll be doing some timber framing videos, and there's a rock wall back here in the distance. I don't know if you can see it, but I have those to repair as well. Plus, I want to put quite a few up. My ideal self wants to do that with the terracing of the garden. And I've been going, I'm going to do this, and I've been saying that for 2 years, and with as much rock as I have, there's not one terrace built over there out of rock. So not giving up on the idea, but just kind of sliding it to the side until I can get more. I guess because the garden takes priority over whether I can build a rock wall and terrace it and make it look all pretty and nice. So I live in Middle Tennessee. I believe our growing zone is a 7. We are on approximately 15 acres. And here's one of my primary tools right there. It's my bush hog. That lawnmower is probably the cheapest thing that you can buy at Home Depot. It has a slightly bent shaft to it from hitting a rock, but I have run over an awful lot of ground with it. I'll run it into stuff like that and just let it eat. It's a slow process. Like I said, I don't have big equipment. I don't have tractors and, you know, anything. There's my other one, my little John Deere lawnmower. I got a little trailer that I hook to that, and I throw everything in the trailer, and then we go kind of putz along. That's basically the introduction to Half Creek Farm. I will talk about as much as I can as I get into it. Unfortunately, last week I was downsized, so there's no longer any income for me. Funny, because all I could think about was how I was going to quit my job and do market gardening and have a little hobby farm where we could have, you know, some good healthy meat. And yeah, well, looks like either I find another job or I run headlong into this and sink or swim.